Happy Lunar New Year, everyone, and welcome back to Tips Love Tofu. Let's make a Vietnamese-inspired noodle soup. It's so easy and so comforting, especially this time of the year. So we're gonna start off with using some annatto seed oil to give it that red color. And we're gonna have some fresh vegetables. So we have our Thai basil, our mint, lime, green onions, along with some cilantro and bean sprouts. So then for the toppings, we're gonna have some fried tofu, which I bought pre-fried, some oyster mushrooms, which is like my absolute favorite, and some tomatoes, which is delicious in soup. So we're gonna marinate the toppings with our spices, our seasoning, so some garlic salt, some sugar, throw in some black pepper, and then we're gonna also add the soy sauce and our Chinese 5-spice powder, which gives it so much flavor, and mushroom seasoning, my favorite seasoning. And then of course the annatto seed oil, and we're gonna let that marinate later. And then of course we're gonna use some rice noodles. You can use any size rice noodles you want. I just use what you normally would put in pho, but yeah, go ahead and choose whatever size rice noodles you prefer. So then for the base of the broth, we're gonna use some lemongrass, ginger, it's gonna be really fragrant, some red onions, shallots, and a daikon radish, just to make it a little bit sweet. But that's pretty much it. And now let's go make the soup. Honestly, what is Vietnamese food if you don't include some shallots? So go ahead and we're gonna mince some shallots, and this is gonna be part of the base of the broth. And let's throw in some red onions instead of the typical yellow onions. I promise you it'll taste really good. And then some ginger. That's also a key ingredient to pretty much any Vietnamese dish. And let's throw in a detoxifying daikon radish. And of course, we can't forget the very fragrant lemongrass. This is a great addition to the soup. With everything prepped, let's head over to the pot and add some oil along with our onions and our shallots and the ginger. And we're gonna let it fry for a bit, maybe a few minutes. And then we're gonna add the rest of the lemongrass, the red onions. And the reason we want to fry it for a few minutes is we kind of want to roast it so that it brings out all the flavors. Because if you just kind of dump water onto it, it doesn't give it the chance to release all the flavors. But after about 5 to 10 minutes, you can go ahead and add your water and let it simmer. So back at the chopping board, we're going to cut our tomatoes into wedges. For our oyster mushrooms, we're gonna just cut off the ends, and that's pretty much it. And of course, go ahead and like rinse it just so that it's clean. And onto the fried tofu. So, you know, I prefer to buy it pre-fried, but you can go ahead and fry it yourself, but this just saves a lot of time, and I like how crispy it is. So now in a bowl, we're gonna add the tofu, mushrooms, and tomatoes, and we're gonna go ahead and season it with everything that I had mentioned at the beginning of this video. So, you know, this noodle soup was pretty much inspired by all the flavors that I grew up eating and that I was familiar with. So I just decided, like, you know, one day, like, what if I just like kind of combine everything together, but of course make it vegan? And that's how I created this dish. And, you know, I really think it's just so healthy and it tastes incredible. And it's just like a perfect soup to eat on a cold winter day. And especially when it's been getting pretty cold where I live. But yeah, and I just really hope that you guys enjoyed as much as I do. And if you've been following me for a while, I am a huge fan of making food in large batches so that you can eat it throughout the week. I love meal prepping, or unintentionally meal prepping. So this is a great dish to have dinner for the next 4 days if that's, you know, something that you want to do. But also this is great to feed a large family or group of friends. And with the broth ready and the fillings ready, we're gonna dump it all into the pot and allow it to simmer for about 20 more minutes. And while that's cooking, let's make our rice noodles. So go ahead and just follow the instructions on the package. So because it really depends on the size of the noodles that you get. And back to the pot, everything's pretty much ready and all the tofu is just floating to the top. But look at that beautiful red broth. And it's because of the annatto seed oil that gives it the color. But yeah, so now we have our noodles and we're gonna add the toppings to it just so that, you know, kind of lay it out pretty. And then we're gonna pour some soup over it. And then we're gonna top it with some fresh herbs. I love it when my food bowl is just kind of steaming like that. It's very inviting and it's like, come eat me. But yeah, and then, so now let's top it off with some cilantro along with green onions. your Thai basil, your bean sprouts, and squeeze a wedge of lime. Go ahead and adjust this to your liking. You know, if there's one herb that you just simply don't like, you don't need to add it, or you don't need to add any at all, but it really does like bring out a lot of flavor to this dish. And there you have it, a Vietnamese inspired noodle dish with some fried tofu, tomatoes, mushrooms, and tons of fresh herbs. This soup is just beautiful, and I really hope you give it a try. So it did take about an hour to put together, but it really doesn't require that much effort, especially once you put everything in the pot. So I highly encourage everyone to make this dish. But thank you so much for watching, and you know, if you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe button below. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Have a great day, everyone, and have a happy new year.